Good morning. How are you? Well, it's a little chilly out and it's raining lightly. So that's my weather report for the day. This is perhaps the most active period in politics jammed into the beginning of the year that I can ever recall. And it has such import. And it's confounded by two things. One is the pandemic, of course, and the other is the action of evil and seditious men and perhaps women who don't believe that we're a democracy and would act to supplant the vote of the people for their own preference in a collective coup, saying that they're doing it based on the Constitution, when in fact they are defying the Constitution, which would be a basis, in my opinion, of removing them from the body. That is, the House and the Senate. The pandemic may affect what's going on the Hill, because the question is, can Pelosi get the vote she needs to the floor because of the pandemic to vote for her? I expect that will happen. So then we have only next Tuesday the question of who will be in charge in the Senate. And if the two Democrats win, with the cooperation of the vice president, incoming vice president, Biden would have that power. That is to say, probably Schumer would have that power, who shares the view of Biden. If not, we'll have Moscow Mitch, and we'll probably have more of the paralysis we've suffered. Although I think Moscow Mitch will have more trouble with his caucus, the Republican caucus. I believe there'll be a split. And I don't know if Romney or Thune will be the leaders of that split that is against the Moscow Mitch program, but I think it's highly possible. And that's because we're looking at what else the Senate's going to do on Wednesday. And what they're going to do is what should normally be pro forma. The vice president, still Pence, will count the ballots from the electors and declare Biden president by those votes. But something else is going to happen, and this is where we have the rebellion, if you will, the insurrection, the defiance of oath, the undermining of our democracy. Now, I say all of this, and all of that is true. It is not going to be effective. But it is telling us that in this nation that would be a nation of laws and not men, that there are men who seek power no matter what the Constitution says, no matter what the laws say. Gohmert out in Texas, when he lost his district court case, he called people to protest. He incited violence. And they're coming to Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. But if the past serves as any indication, it will be ineffective in the streets. And hopefully some of these people, the Proud Boys, who were told to stand down until they were needed, they'll be there. And other white supremacist groups, how perfect, right? Now, Hawley is the guy who started this in the Senate. They need one objection from a senator paired up with one objection from members of Congress. They have that bare minimum. In fact, they have 11 senators right now who support this cockamamie, unconstitutional, seditious, traitorous act. And in the House, they probably have a fair number of those who voted for the petition to overthrow the election to the court, to the Supreme Court. So, what defects do we see in this? What should we look for? Well, you can't overturn this election, even with any of these procedures, if you can't get the House and the Senate to agree. And that's not going to happen, even though they're going to spend time arguing about it. But another thing is, in order to overthrow this election, you have to challenge a sufficient number of electors to change the result. And Hawley has just announced, as far as I know, that he's only going to challenge one state, and that's Pennsylvania, and that's 20 electoral votes. And if you deduct that from the Biden column, Biden still wins. So where's the beef, to borrow from Reagan? And the answer is there is no beef. Hawley is an unscrupulous, evil, seditious, traitorous man who is manipulating his position without any facts to support it to posture himself as the heir apparent for the Trump votes in the next presidential election. See what I did. And he gives cover to those Republicans in the Senate and the House who would like to vote for Trump so Trump won't make them the target in primaries, presuming that Trump will still have that power. Now, the other meathead who's involved in this is Cruz. And I don't like his beard. He's gained a lot of weight, so he's a less attractive guy. He's supposed to be a genius at the law, but he proposes to find some way to delay the whole proceeding. And I guess his thinking is there's a provision in the Constitution that if there is a delay in who the president is, the vice president continues until March of the year. I don't know if that's a scheme or not, but here's a guy who doesn't have the will of the knife, if you will. He's the pale thief that Nietzsche would speak about. That is, he contemplates the crime, but he doesn't have the nerve to go through with it. And I say this because on the morning talk shows, one of the few I heard, he was saying, don't get all excited. This is just procedure. What are you so upset about? I guess these guys sit in their echo chamber and get everybody crazy, and then they run out the door and they say and do these, in my opinion, criminal acts. And if you look up sedition, the conspiracy to commit a seditious act, it involves some aspect of violence. And this is the first time it may be clear that violence is being invoked by the Republicans on Wednesday. However ineffective it may be, however paltry bringing together these hateful individuals may be, it may not be effective, but it is nevertheless an element of the crime. And I say the crime because I think these people should be prosecuted. The speech and debate clause does not protect members of Congress against rebellion, insurrection, and overthrowing our democratic processes. So, all that's to say, a little bit of Sturm und Drang, that I'm upset we have such evil people that could be in our elective bodies. And I hope we'll cure that by compromising them with actions now, getting rid of whomever we can in the midterm elections, getting past this week, hopefully winning in Georgia, and getting on with the inauguration of the Biden administration, a return to law and order. And I expect that he may have some opportunities to work with some Republicans, and they'll be the ones who supported regularity in these votes this week. So, have a good day. All the best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.